Thank you. Thank you all for coming. This is a remarkable turnout. And when I look across this room, I just see like a who's who of people who just love and care for our community. I see leaders in this room who inspire me, like Dr. Bud, who's here. We appreciate you being here. I see folks who inspire me, like Jared Mulligan, who I'm very certain has actually hugged everyone in our community, at least once. So thank you for joining us here for the Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition Luncheon. And we're celebrating 20 years of prevention. That's really, really nice. My name is Luke Kavner, and you guys got the short straw. I will be your MC this afternoon. We're going to start our program with the Pledge of Allegiance. So would you all rise and join me as we welcome our police chief up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, Chief. All right. As we begin today's program, I think it's important that we give a special thanks to a lot of the groups and organizations that made today a success. First, I'd like to thank West Ada School District for welcoming and hosting us today. Thank you, West Ada. The lunch was really great, right? I want to thank Albertsons Marketplace for providing not only the lunch, but these beautiful floral arrangements that are on everybody's table. Please. It wouldn't be a great event without a little swag, so we want to thank North Point Recovery and Shields for providing those amazing commemorative coins and t-shirts. Thank you for your partnerships, your ongoing support, and these generous donations. One more round of applause. I'm really excited for today's program because it features speakers that are touching on both the past, present, and most importantly, the future of MADC, really focusing on prevention. The theme is strong and enduring, which symbolizes that 20th anniversary, and it also is known as the Platinum anniversary, which is kind of reflected on the challenge points that you've seen that you were given at that check. I also want to thank our partners at Natural High, who designed and provided the stickers that enhance MADC's prevention efforts through their campaign and educational material. In addition to serving as your MC for today, this is easy to say, I also have the great privilege of being on the Meridian City Council representing District 6. For me, this is really a true honor to be up here. I really watched MADC grow and flourish. Quite frankly, as the need for prevention has also grown within our community. Prevention has meant a lot of different things to me in my life. As a youth, my father was a police officer, and I watched him lead every day in uniform, working diligently to protect and support our community. As a teen, I was fortunate to meet Monty Stiles, who I snuck in here. And as a 16-year-old, a junior, to have somebody like that individual empower me and show the harms and impacts of drugs in our community was nothing short of game-changing. Certainly, many of us in here are parents, and we know that worry switch that gets flipped when our kids are born. I have a 16-year-old who goes here to Renaissance, and he knows I worry about him every day. Not because this is a great school, it's just it's built into our DNA as parents. And that ties so much into prevention. We want our community to be safe, not just for us, but for our kids as well. I've also been fortunate to really be involved in prevention. Both my wife and I have worked with prevention in a number of different ways, from tobacco all the way to the harms of methamphetamines. And we know firsthand the difference volunteers like you make. So I've been hitting the high side, my time is wrapped up, and Kendall runs a tight ship as we're done. So I'm just going to ask real quick before we get to the program. If you've been a volunteer for MADC at one point or another, past or present, please stand so we can recognize you and thank you for your great work. So when Mayor Tammy got MADC started, we really did something that I think was really groundbreaking, which was many communities across the country will react to the harm of drugs and substance abuse. MADC, Mayor Tammy, and many of the volunteers that were proactive. So I'm excited, both as a as a father, as a citizen, as a council member, as I hope to be one day a grandfather, the proactive work that you are doing to keep Meridian a great place to call home for all of you. Now, we're going to move on to the program. Before we welcome Pastor Ray Ellis to the stage for today's invocation, I'd like to share a little bit of Ray's history. This isn't in the Bible. You've lost it, Ray. Holy cow, tons of beer. After 31 years, Ray retired from law enforcement and now serves as senior pastor for Passion for Christ Ministries here in Meridian. Ray began his career in law enforcement with the Orange County Sheriff's Department in California in 1989 after serving as a United States Marine. After his start in Southern California, Ray moved his family to Idaho, where he served in the Meridian Police Department until his retirement in 2019. He's active in writing and publishing community. Ray's first novel, Notorious, is a police thriller. Previously released as a NHI No Humans Involved, was published in 2011. And since then, Ray has had 4 other works released and has been selected as one of Idaho's top 50 authors for the year of 2011, a top 10 author in Idaho for 2012, and the 2014 ACFW Idaho Chapter Writer of the Year. So afterwards, hop on your phone, hop on Amazon, and I want to check out some of these books. I didn't know that. In 2012, Ray launched the NCC Publishing LLC, a company that assists developing writers along with their creative journey, covering areas from story and character development all the way to final publication. As part of the NCC Publishing, Ray's primary role is that of writing and story development coach. He's always been a coach. Today, along with pastoring, Ray is writing a study commentary on the Old Testament books of Leviticus and Deuteronomy. This is the most important part. He's been married to his wife for 40 years and enjoys most of all being a granddad. Jill, please join me in welcoming Ray.
Good morning. What's it afternoon? It's just like church, guys. When I say something, you get fired. Amen or something. I was really pleased when I was asked to take part in this. I just want to share just a brief thought of what we prayed for the students today. As I was speaking with Kendall a couple weeks ago, I asked her, what was the biggest proposal of the conversation? And this is a brief thought that I just want to share. It's been said that the number 20 reminds us of the importance of deep connection to the wisdom of God. That we are often supported or lifted up by the creative energies of others during difficult time that this life affords us. By leaning and learning to trust and depend on the strengths of others, we find ourselves in a place where growth can occur and our personal strength can better develop. We ourselves in a place where we can help. In the Bible, the number 20 can represent completeness or a divine point. The question then becomes, in reaching that point of 20, what is it that you're waiting for? What's it you're trying to achieve? With the MADC, it's not so much as just looking back at the last week, and not even just enjoying the mark where you are today, but projecting forward with the next year. A curious thing I discovered is that in the Bible, the New Testament, in Matthew chapter 28, again in Mark 16, and in Revelation chapter 1, each one of those chapters have only 20 verses. And it's, again, with 20 representing that number of completeness, one segment ending and another beginning. I thought how appropriate it would be here at 20 years with MADC. Again, looking back to the trials that began and the vision that's still burning place. We have this opportunity. And looking at what the next one. So with that thought, let us just bow. Gracious Heavenly Father, it has often been said that we find ourselves standing on the shoulders of giants. And here today we find ourselves in that same position, whereas we're able to look back on the efforts of those who've gone before. And we find ourselves standing in a place of strength. And we ask you to bless this group, bless this vision, Lord, bless these workers as they lay their hands to the power to continue to move forward to accomplish the things that you have ordained for this city this morning. That with the success of this first 20 years, that we can be inspired to go forward into the next, even well. That you will be glorified generation of lives of our youth in this community, aspiring leaders to come on board to carry this vision forward, that in all these things, we might be he asks us to succeed.
Thanks, Pastor Ray. At least for me, there was a piece there that really touched me, which is about kind of standing on the shoulder of giants. And Meridian has kind of become a giant community. When I was a little kid, there were 5,000-6,000 people, and now they say we're 120,000 people. And it means that so many people have chosen to call Meridian home. In part, I think, because we're a very successful and prosperous community. As much as I'd like to probably take the credit for that, I had very little to do that. It's amazing leaders that have come before and served our community well. So with that note, I'm very honored that I get the opportunity to serve our family. I made a great mistake because he didn't give me an intern. And for those of you that have been in our community know that Mayor Simison and I have a long history. He was my boss in 2008, which means I did a hot mic and I get to say anything that I want that. So the fact is that Mayor Simison is an idol. He's a Meridian guy. And believe that's Mayor from the City Council. You get asked to take on a lot of different perspectives. Probably way more than your mayor. But I will say the perspective that I have seen working for Mayor Simison when he was with Mayor Tammy's chief of staff, and certainly with him as mayor, is that he looks at issues from the family perspective. I think that is critically important in our community, that we focus on prevention, that we focus on building great communities, that are a great place to call homes, that we're looking for as families. If you all give me the great pleasure of welcoming our Mayor, Robert Simison.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. And yeah, that's why I'm up here. I'm sure that we're going to make a safe community built around families. And that's the work that MADC has been doing for 20 years. So it's a great honor to be here today with all of you. I just want to reiterate the thanks to our sponsors who all make this happen. The MADC team, who's led the effort to get us here, and those who had the vision for us to be in this room well before most of us even thought about it. One of the things, I understand these are great speakers, so I'm not going to care much, but one of the things I get to do as mayor is make a proclamation. So with that, if you want to come up, we'll go ahead and read a proclamation. The kiddos that represent all of you for 20 years are in that regard. So. Whereas the Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition was established January of 2004 by Mayor Kendall Nagy with a mission to strengthen our community through substance abuse prevention. And whereas the Meridian Police Department has led MADC from its initial grassroots beginning as a recipient of a drug-free community grant, whose current structure consists of MPD staff, 12 sector representatives, more than 40 partners, and 16 members. And whereas MADC works together to educate and bring awareness to the community, and engages by partnering with schools to Red Ribbon Week, participating in community events such as the National Night Out, Drug Retreat, and Public Safety Day, as well as hosting big drug take-back events and recovery workers. And whereas MADC has been a drug prevention leader in Meridian, the Treasure Valley, and the state of Idaho, through their education and advocacy efforts, helping others in need. And whereas the success of MADC is in large part to the volunteers dedicate their time and resources to make a positive impact in our community. And whereas the City of Meridian recognizes the benefit and community that offers services and support to keep our community safe and healthy, celebrates the milestone for MADC, past, present, and future. Therefore, I, Mayor Robert Simison, do hereby proclaim January 25th, 2024 as Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition 20th Anniversary Day in the City of Meridian. Encourage all citizens to celebrate the Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition's 20th anniversary and applaud the benefits it has provided and will continue to provide for our community. Congratulations. So as mentioned, I had the privilege of coming to work for the city under Mayor Tammy, started in 2007. And it was there that I got the opportunity to see her passion for our community, passion on issues, vision as well. And that's something that as a mentor and friend, she's passed along to me throughout these years. Been an interesting time for the celebration. Many of you are probably aware about the work that's going on at the state legislature on fentanyl this week. And I think it's just a testament that this, Mayor Tammy helped get this community engaged in these issues at all levels many, many, many years ago. And we're continuing that tradition today. That includes our city council, putting the funds necessary for the people, for the opioid $700 into the program so they can continue to grow and stand, as well as help others throughout the state in the need horizon. And that's a huge benefit. So I'm going to read from the note cards. I thought they did a pretty good job in this even there. I don't need to, but Mayor Tammy initiated MADC in 2004, as we stated. She served as a strong advocate for local and regional solutions on a number of issues, one of which includes substance abuse prevention, but also treatment and recovery. She has led by example, paving a way to strengthen our community, whether in front of kids, with elected officials, and her efforts with the Not Even Once and anti-meth campaigns. Showing the importance of being vulnerable and moving through to solution. This is a testament to the MADC program in our community. It's my honor to welcome our first guest speaker, my mentor friend, and Mayor Tammy Weerd, retired to the state.
Walking into this room was difficult. Seeing all of our past and present MADC superheroes was really phenomenal. So thank you all for being here. Jason DeFord, also known as Jelly Roll, Jelly Roll, made headlines with his recent testimony to a Senate Congressional Committee regarding the fentanyl crisis. One of the things he spoke about was that 190 people overdose every day. That is equivalent to a 737 aircraft. Could you imagine, he said, the national media attention it would get if they were reporting that a plane was crashing every day, killing 190 people? But they don't, because it's 190 drug addicts. They look at the addiction rather than the root cause and trying to understand that. What was likely 20 years ago is probably the same today. And almost every person in this room has most likely been touched by someone they know and love by drug addiction. I'm certainly honored to be here and humbled and privileged to those who have worked over the last 20 years on this worthy effort. I wrote these comments several weeks ago after watching the Christmas Carol. So I'd like to think of me as the first speaker as the ghost of MADC past. First, a little bit about me, to understand about how all this started. We moved to Meridian in the early 90s, and it was a community of just around 10,000 people. I got involved in 1994, and I was driven by a desire to make sure that this community was a community that my kids would want to raise their kids in. As my passion for Meridian grew, so did my involvement. Fast forward, after 9 years of service wearing a number of different hats, I came into my campaign for mayor. It was election day 2003 that set my resolve in the path forward in MADC. A handful of my campaign workers, we went to a chamber commerce luncheon. And who was the speaker? Monty Stiles. Monty spoke about the crisis facing our families and communities from substance abuse. He had pictures and he had passion. And then he challenged everyone in that room to take up their spear and be part of the solution. Win or lose, I pledged at that time, sitting at my table to my volunteers, that I would pick up my spear and rally the community to take action. I witnessed in other community involvements that the greatest solution to meet societal needs are to tap into the talent and the passion of our own citizens, our community. The bottom line is that drugs impact everyone and anyone. Addiction does not discriminate, we all know that. Substance abuse crosses all economic levels, ages, backgrounds, and education. This disease impacts families and in turn, our community. It impacted my family. There were many days I looked into the eyes of a victim of substance abuse. And they were my eyes. Sometimes I didn't even know that I was a victim or that my family was. I certainly did, however, in my first marriage. I was married to an alcoholic. It was a toxic relationship. And it was important for me to get out of that relationship, not only for myself, but for my 2 kids. What I didn't realize was that almost 20 years later, and even as I sat and listened to Monty, that I was there again. I didn't even know it when I started the MADC. It was several months later that I realized that drugs had a hold of my oldest daughter. Here I am, immersed myself in trying to understand substance abuse and the signs, and I didn't even see it. This is humbling. You know, we never ever want to see our kids hurt and in pain and to hit rock bottom. But I was aided by my school and a small group of committed citizens that helped me stand up. And we took up our sword and we took a proactive, not a reactive approach to fight substance abuse. And I would be remiss to not add that I was lifted up through a relationship with God. Psalm 55:22 says, "Cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you." And He did. Wow. We took our conversation about drugs and alcohol out of that meeting room and into our community. And we talked about substance abuse as a disease, not as a choice. The first beginnings of the MADC, which was the Mayor's Anti-Drug Coalition at the time, is there was nothing fun about that. It wasn't easy. We had to write a charter and bylaws and all that bureaucratic stuff. And there were a handful of committed souls, however, that stuck with it because the cause was worthy. It was also to convince our Meridian Police Department that the coalition was to benefit our officers. And it wasn't just Mayor Tammy's pet project that was just going to be short-lived and a bunch of fluff. And then there was the grant writing. Oh my goodness. Even my husband helped write our first grant. It was all hands on deck. We were determined to get that community, that drug-free community block grant. And in 2009, the community grant was awarded. But there were so many positive things that filled our cups. We have and still have an incredible school district. They understand the importance and the necessity of our coalition's efforts. We had principals and school counselors step up and get involved. They were huge partners, and Meridian, I can tell you, was the envy across the state because of the relationship we had with our school district. Our business community was all in, as were our faith community, nonprofits, and youth organizations, parents and other substance abuse groups, and our city council members. They were huge supporters, one of which was Keith Bird. Our city council approved a part-time position in 2005. Partnered with Melissa, we had Brenda. We had a power team back there. We did a lot with a little, and it was incredible. We had a three-pronged approach. This will not sound unfamiliar. Education and prevention, treatment and recovery, and enforcement. A strong foundation to build on. Our community also stepped up in big ways, and our programming reflects that then, as well as still today. In the early days, however, it took some convincing to get recruit participation. I remember standing at a civic organization and talking about the need to get involved. And one of the people there said, well, I watched the police logs in the Valley Times. I don't see any drug-related arrests or anything like that. Well, it was a perfect opening to talk about root causes of drug and alcohol shown in theft and domestic abuse and others. We refused to stick our head in the sand. Our community involvement was our superpower. We even had the University of Phoenix that stepped up in a class of students do branding for us. And as well as our first logo. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but I still have my dog tag. And our first logo was the dog tag. Here are some examples of the programs or events over the years. Some had shelf lives and some are still existing today. But there's one thing that all of them have in common. Outstanding leaders. People that stood beside these and led these efforts to success. The September Celebrate Recovery event, one of my favorites. The most memorable was the first annual event that we had. And I attended, or attending with me was my oldest daughter. I can say I was a hot mess. I had mascara all over my face. No one knows that I'm emotional or I cry, but we attended together. And I am so proud of her. I was so proud of her that day, and I still am. She's an incredible mom. She's a small business owner, and she just was a general contractor on her first and forever home. And with her today is my little granddaughter, Jamie. So if you would all celebrate her recovery with me and give her a round of applause. And our frontline workers training. This was so cool. We trained our utility workers, the workers that were in our neighborhoods, on things to look at. And if they found something, what to do when they found it. Not to do it themselves, but who to call. We started take-back events for prescription drugs, eventually having a drop-off set. And this effort was led by Lieutenant Overton, now City Councilman Overton. Just think about it, John, what that effort was then and what it still continues to be today. Thank you for leading that. Many were focused on youth and inspired by or driven by our youth. We held the Method Meridian program in 2006, and it was attended by close to 500 residents. The next year, we had a valley-wide March Against Meth in partnership with MADC, KTVB, Drug Free Idaho, and the city of Napa. We had over 4,500 attendees. Our youth council was involved in both of these events, and they led this not only once poster contest. They also put together PSAs in their schools and announced the issues and dangers surrounding around drugs. Some of those PSAs were used in a statewide by KTV and other TV and radio stations. We used dramatic theater to reach teens. We had the New Heritage Theater Response Program teamed out that brought performances to 10th grade. We worked with Mountain View to present Party Foul. These were from real teen parties that our police had responded to. We also had, we worked with Drug Free Idaho again, and parents who host lose the most. And do you remember the partnership between our police department and our fire department on every 15 minutes? What a powerful program that was. Our business community participated in our response dog tag program. So for our middle school students, when they would sign a pledge to be drug-free, they would get a dog tag and they could present that in various businesses that would give them discounts for free items because they were making healthy choices. And we can't forget the MADC campaign that focused on kids achieving their natural high through healthy activities, not drugs or alcohol. There was our annual Teen Safety Summit that Councilman Kavner also was involved with. And they learned about the impact of choices through fun activities. Now, I'm reluctant to always say what a favorite program was. It's like saying what your favorite child is. And so you try not to do that. But I did have a couple of them. One was the Meridian Police Activity League recognized program. This involved coaches who were so influential in their players' lives and the choices that they made, with curriculum on the risk of drugs and the impact of alcohol. The players got dog tags at an annual event, and they were celebrated because they went through this program and they pledged to lead clean life. This program gained both state and national attention. The partnership, as well between the MADC, our SROs, and middle schools, brought the award-winning Not My Kid project. These brought discussions into homes and drug testing kits. What a powerful prevention tool it was. And it was bringing discussion to the kitchen tables about drugs. These collective efforts, conversations, and tools not only made a difference in our community, but we were able to pay forward to other communities to deploy. My role as mayor, as community advocate, as wife, mom, was about weaving the threads of our community into a tapestry that reflected our vision of Meridian to be a premier place to live, work, and raise our families. Working alongside our police department and other departments, and coming together as a community that cares, we all made giant strides towards that premier community through these initiatives, grit, and determination. I believe that the greatest efforts show their value by thriving long after those who started. You have shown that. I am humbled by all of those that were involved and those that continue to be part of the MADC and those that continue to carry the flag, and I'm forever grateful. Thank you for inviting me here to participate today.
That's a hard act to follow. I was scribbling some notes that I wanted to talk about different events that entertainment was sharing. Then there was another great event, another great event. So I scrapped those notes because entertainment, it's important to think you look at this event, you look at this room. There are people that are here inspired to serve because of Mayor Tammy. I think it's really also unique that Mayor Tammy was inspired to serve after hearing my stuff. And to me, what that shows that even Sean's here somewhere, the chamber luncheon is the place where we inspire change, right? And an event like this, you may go and inspire somebody else, make a big difference in our community. There's so many, you could have stopped halfway through and it would have been nothing short of remarkable. And look at all the people who have stepped up to make a difference in our community. I tip my hat to you. It's really nothing short of incredible. When we look back on these 20 years, it's amazing all the things that we've been able to accomplish. I think a lot of it's been done through partnership and collaboration. History shows that partnership are the very core of this coalition and continue to be today. They're essential and very evident as I look across this room and see so many great leaders. The mission statement of the Meridian Police Department, MADC, both emphasize prevention. The aligned focus has been at the forefront of their partnership since 2004 and continue to play an important role in our community. It gets me really excited to introduce our next speaker. Chief Tracy Basterrechea is a father and a husband before anything else. He's been married to his amazing wife, Andy, for 27 years. He really is here. And they are both proud parents to an amazing young man who attends Carroll College of San Antonio. Tracy has served the Meridian Police Department for 27 years. He's been our chief since 2021. In his role as chief, he is deeply honored to be able to serve the men and women of the Meridian Police Department and our community. He is a very vocal critic of drug legalization movement, which doesn't always make him the most popular person in the room. Feels that way these days. Idaho is the gem state for a reason, and Tracy certainly believes that it's worth fighting. I'm going to go off script. We're so lucky to have Tracy as our chief. I get it, I'm a homer, I'm a fan of Meridian, but I would say I would put our chief against any chief in the country when it comes to his efforts to serve our community, to communicate with our community. I had an individual who emailed me the other day, who was a little upset about police encounters. And I said, we call her chief. Could I do that? And I said, well, I don't like to volunteer any of the employees to do anything, but I know because I know his heart. That he just doesn't wear the badge in his spirit. He wears it all the time. And he cares about our communities at home. He cares about our communities at work. He cares about the little ones. He cares about the retirees and everybody. There's no better chief for Meridian. There's no better chief in our country than our police chief. So would you please join me in welcoming our chief, a big champion of prevention, Meridian Police Chief Tracy Basterrechea.
Now I guess I'm gonna have to perform. I don't know. Hopefully I don't go too far off script again. But, it's interesting. The mayor talked about programs, and programs come and go. And I have to say that when the Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition was first introduced, there were a lot of people that were skeptical. I think there were a lot of people that thought it would be a flash in the pan and it would go. And I cannot believe that it has been 20 years, because it literally seemed like it was yesterday that it was started. And real quickly, before I go on with my comments, I'd like John Overton to please stand up. Give John a round of applause. And the reason I do that is because John has been as instrumental on the sustainability of MADC as anybody. He has been the one who's picked almost every one of our MADC coordinators, and I believe that is he's picked the right people every time, and that's why we've been so successful. And so I thank him for that. The other thing I will say is that makes this interesting. Some people probably look and wonder why a police officer is here talking about prevention and all of those other things. But one thing you'll notice when I speak, I very rarely talk about us as being law enforcement. I talk about policing. And policing is truly about prevention, education, and enforcement as the last leg of that stool. If we can focus on the first two, we certainly will be a better place. And while there are a lot of people who deserve credit for what we've done with MADC, I have to say this. You need to give yourselves a round of applause because you are the reason that we're here. All of those people who have volunteered with MADC, all of the partnerships that we have made, you have truly been a voice of reason in a sea of hypocrisy and craziness. While other states around us are legalizing marijuana because they say it's the right thing to do, remember the real reason they did it: for revenue only. These states are literally trying to get rich off of your loved one's addictions. Once that door was open, states have done exactly what we predicted. They've started to legalize the harder drugs, like heroin, methamphetamine, and cocaine. And their cities and their states are falling into disrepair, and people are fleeing to the great state of Idaho because we have truly held the line. I will tell you, I'm not always the most popular one in the room because I am a staunch opponent to legalization. In Idaho alone, drug use is killing our family members, and we have to be the voice of reason. In 2023, Idaho reported 352 overdoses. And I can guarantee you that number is much lower due to incomplete data. From August 2022 to August of 2023, overdoses in Washington increased by 37.27%. Oregon reported an increase of 29%, and Nevada an increase of 30%. We are killing our kids and we're killing our community, and we have to stop. Approximately 106,000 people in the United States die of drug overdose each year. That is actually approximately 290 people per day, which is double what fentanyl is doing when you take into consideration all of the drugs. This doesn't take into account the societal cost of addiction. Crimes committed by addicts trying to fuel their addiction, motor vehicle crashes caused by those under the influence of families destroyed by addiction. Not to mention the increase in cost passed on to all of us due to the strains put on our healthcare system. How can we as leaders accept this type of devastation in our states? We can't and we shouldn't. So where is Idaho at now and what are we doing? Well, when we look at marijuana, trust me, there are strong forces trying to get us to move towards the legalization of marijuana. And I'm proud to say we have truly held the line. They're currently trying to get medical marijuana on the ballot once again, and they can't get the signatures from our citizens to get it on the ballot. That is the first step to the destruction of our state. One of the things I'm very, very proud of, and I've had some criticism from some people, is when they come to me and they say, you know, when we look through the police blotter, the police arrest log, your agency is one of the, really the top one that's actually putting people into jail for possession of marijuana. And I smile and I say, you're damn right we are. We don't arrest everybody for marijuana, but we do arrest those who need to go to jail. And we know because we deal with criminals every single day. We respond to those low-level, quote-unquote, marijuana crimes. And those have led to larger arrests in some of our local hotels or motels. Investigations on human trafficking, large-scale drug investigations, child abuse investigation. We are saving people by worrying about the little things. And we're very, very, very proud of that in our agency. I give the men and women, you, the citizens, give the men and women of the Meridian Police Department tremendous power. We trust them to carry a gun. I think that we can trust our officers on the street to make a decision on whether they need to issue somebody a citation or whether that person needs to go to jail and start possibly their trip to recovery. Since we're talking about marijuana, we are going to show a brief clip on smoke screen. So if you'll just watch this for a few minutes and we'll go on.
When I first started smoking weed, I was like, no, like there's no way. I'm not going to do anything else. And then I went and did everything else. But it stopped me from like doing anything. And I like failed my freshman year because of it.
Today's marijuana has been genetically bred to be an entirely different drug.
The new study out this morning reveals the number of teenagers vaping marijuana rose dramatically in the past year, with the percentage among high school seniors nearly doubling.
What it should be all about is the health and safety of our kids, because they're our future. We're 43 in the nation in high school graduations, and we're number 1 in pot use. We're number 1 in vaping. We're number 3 in abuse of all illicit drugs, and we're number 9 in suicide. We're losing them daily.
And I feel like it's robbing my kids of a certain level of innocence that they deserve. They deserve to go through middle school and have their biggest concern be, seeing the boy they like in the hallway, not coming up against drugs and pressure to take drugs.
It is a brave new world with today's marijuana, and we're talking potency and concentrates up to 99.9% pure. And that is why when someone just says marijuana, you really need to dig down deep into understanding what they're talking about, because it could mean anything these days.
Those of us who are opposed to marijuana didn't expect it to pass.
The wool got pulled over people's eyes.
I considered myself to be, fairly conservative in my thinking, never used drugs. And I thought, if you can ease someone's suffering at end of life, why would we not do that? And I voted for medical marijuana. I thought, we have to do this for people. What kind of good people are we if we don't care about others, right? So I voted for it.
It's typical of the marijuana industry to use really unique cases involving children to help justify the more widespread use of marijuana.
It is absolutely criminal, in my opinion, to exploit them for a political group to get something that they want, a for-profit group to get what they want.
So medicine is not something that voters vote on. I mean, I don't know the last time we voted on cancer medicine, Zofran or Kytril. Medicines should be done through the scientific process, prescribed by real doctors and dispensed in pharmacies.
And the public is being duped into thinking this is going to treat their arthritis, going to treat their cancer, going to treat their eczema, going to treat their Huntington's chorea, and the list goes on of all these treatments, and they're simply not founded.
It's a scam.
But that is the way that they begin to normalize marijuana. And it is the medical side that they use to help normalize it. And then the recreational side comes shortly thereafter.
And it frankly is the same playbook as the tobacco industry, if you think about it. In the mid-1800s, late 1800s, with the invention of the cigarette, there was a movement for medical tobacco. That was pushed in the late 1800s. And then that quickly changed to non-medical cigarette smoking, and an industry that relied on addiction for profit, on lies, on funding their own science, funding their own advocacy for, a century, until we kind of woke up from that slumber in the US and realized that we were being taken for a ride. The same thing's happening with marijuana today.
Marijuana is being grown in Washington, Oregon, Nevada, California, Colorado, all these states that surround Idaho. There's plenty of marijuana being grown in the Western United States right now. So why not be different? Why not have a state that is marijuana free?
that we do have state legislators who are moving this direction. And they're moving in this direction under the argument that their decision is based on personal freedom. And I've said over and over, the fact of what your decision, what is behind your decision doesn't matter when it's the wrong decision. You're going to have the same outcomes as these other states, regardless of why you chose to legalize marijuana. So where are we at currently? We just recently, after a pretty long 2-year fight at the state legislature over fentanyl trafficking mandatory minimum sentences, we finally got it out of committee and it's going to the House floor. And what this law does is it puts down mandatory minimum sentences for people that are involved in the trafficking, not the use. We're not looking for the addicts, in the trafficking of fentanyl. One of the things that we have fought over and over on this is misinformation and ill miseducation of our legislators. But we finally pushed this through, and I can tell you that we're very confident that it will pass the House floor. We currently have 36 co-sponsors from the House of Representatives, as well as 15 co-sponsors in the Senate. So we're ready to drive this home. Also included in that bill is a drug-induced homicide clause that says that if you are a fentanyl trafficker and somebody dies from the fentanyl that you trafficked into this state, and we can show that you are the one that trafficked it, you will be charged with drug-induced homicide, and that carries can carry up an indeterminate life term. And it was very surprising and shocking to us in the policing community that it was such a fight at the legislature. Make no mistake about it, I will quickly wrap up. There are a lot of things that are going on. If you don't think that the cartels are not in the state of Idaho, you're crazy. They've been in the state of Idaho for the last 30 years, and they're only getting stronger and looking for ways to bring more drugs into this state. And what we found in other states when they said legalization is going to do away with the black market is it absolutely did not happen. What we have seen is cartels buying up marijuana dispensaries and driving prices down on the black market to increase their profit margin. So I just ask you to be vigilant. I ask you to reach to your state legislators and encourage them to stay strong on this issue. I know that we have a governor that is very, very strongly opposed to any type of marijuana coming to this state, so show your support to him on that subject. Without a doubt, Idaho is the last bastion of hope, and it is because of all of you in this room. And so I just want to say, I want to give all of you our heartfelt thanks to the Meridian Police Department, because you truly do make our job easier in this state. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief, for your comments and your leadership. Very, very appreciated. I like Mayor Tammy's comments about ghost of prevention past and talk about the present, and we move on a little bit to the future. So now that we've looked back in the past and focused on prevention partnerships in the present, it's time to look to the future and have each of us have a responsibility to ensure not only MADC is a strong and enduring, but is also that Meridian continues to be that great state in Idaho. Kendall Nagy has been working in substance abuse prevention for the Meridian Police Department, serving as the director of the Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition since early 2015. She's a graduate from the Community Anti-Drug Coalition of America, the National Coalition of Academy, and has served on the executive board and legislative committee for the Community Coalitions of Idaho. In addition, she has served as the Treasure Valley Opioid Crisis Response Strategic Planning Group and the Association of Idaho Cities Drug Task Force Committee. I don't know when she's. Kendall has prior work experience as a nonprofit president, as a small business owner. I think this is important. See, I'll tell you, as a council member, Kendall has and continues. Born and raised in Idaho, she is fully committed to serving our communities and preserving Idaho's quality of life as she works to reduce substance abuse through education and prevention. Please welcome Tammy.
Well, it's good to see a full room
and I'm very grateful that you're all here joining us today to celebrate this. Thank you, Councilman Kapner, and to Mayor Tammy and Chief for sharing your unique perspectives that are important to the part of MADC. So after nearly a decade serving in this position, I have been asked, let's start again. I have been asked why I still work in prevention, each day facing the challenges that have come with culture change and the normalization of drugs. There are many reasons, but most importantly, it is for the people who have been impacted by substance abuse, and to keep others from having similar experiences, to keep faith, as it sometimes seems like the only thing still driving prevention. It is for the health of our children and families because they are at the heart of our communities and our future. I grew up in McCall way back before it was a resort destination, roaming free, playing in what seemed like mile-high mountains of wood chips at the sawmill. We moved 10 times in the first 10 years of my life, and I grew up in a home with a single parent who struggled with mental health and addiction. During my elementary years, I saw adults doing lines of cocaine, and I learned that the plants growing on our porch were marijuana plants. I recall the time I threatened to turn myself in to Child Protective Services, but I opted not to because I was told it was going to be worse than where I was living. It wasn't all horrible, and it did get better, but my childhood was the beginning of my why in prevention. I started a list of things I didn't want to do or be, and I discovered hope through what I call my guardian angels. Teachers who fed me and gave me shelter, faith leaders who led me in song, and law enforcement who helped redirect me on my path when I had veered off course. It was caring individuals from the community that helped make a difference, and it is caring individuals who continue to do so as they lead MADC's efforts. A couple of weeks ago, in his State of the State address, Governor Little said, "We know prevention works." It can sometimes be hard to prove prevention works, and those of us working in the field often ask ourselves, how do we really know that we're making a difference? Aside from survey data and statistical analysis, I am very happy to say there are many ways that we are making a difference in prevention works. The fact that we are all gathered here today and we filled this huge room to celebrate prevention and celebrate 20 years of MADC is one. If prevention didn't work, we wouldn't have buy-in, and without buy-in, we wouldn't have a coalition. The grassroots efforts that built MADC's foundation have helped the coalition grow and flourish for 2 decades. We still follow the national best practices of the drug-free community and strategic prevention framework, and our executive committee has representatives from 12 different sectors in the community. Some are volunteers, and some are professionals working for partner organizations that also support prevention. Thank you to each of them, and to those who previously served on the executive committee, attending meetings, selecting strategies, and helping determine the best programs to meet our community's needs. I would like to have MADC's current executive committee members please rise so we can acknowledge them for their time, effort, and commitment to helping meet MADC's mission. It is an absolute pleasure to work beside each of you. Please rise. It is through the dedicated efforts of all of our members and a wide variety of community partners that we provide education and resources to 30,000 community members at nearly 70 events each year. I do sleep, but I get tired. Mayor Tammy mentioned several programs we know made a difference in the lives of youth. We know this because we hear it from them directly when we're working out in the community. Now adults, some of them raising their own children, they are excited to see us and tell us about the impact MADC has made in their life. They are happy to see the coalition is still out in the community, providing resources and education. We get similar feedback when we teach in the life skills classes, and students say they remember us from middle school spring safety flings, or They just share their excitement about having seen a classmate featured in a Natural High video at the Village Theater. These public service announcements are created by youth and feature local students showcasing a sport, hobby, or art form. Natural High is a prevention nonprofit based in California, and Drug Free Idaho, the coalition in Boise, worked in partnership with them to create a campaign that is used by the coalitions throughout Idaho. In addition to sharing Natural High's educational resources specifically designed for parents and teachers, MADC utilizes the campaign to engage with youth at various locations throughout the community, like the Meridian Speedway and Boys and Girls Club. The campaign has become so familiar to the youth in the community, they are quick to seek us out and share their Natural High with us. For adults, our most requested resource is a parent prevention packet, which is a continuation of the partnership that began under Mayor Tammy's leadership with Not My Kid. The packet provides a variety of tools for families to create their own personalized prevention plan, which includes the optional use of a drug test. Having the test gives you a little extra courage when they may be found in a peer pressure situation. We often have parents come back and tell us how they use the drug test as part of their family's unique prevention plan, grateful for the extra help. These packets are shared at events, available through our partnerships with school resource officers and the school counselors, and the booklet is available on MADC's website. Our partnership with the Meridian Police Department is a critically important component to our work, and we collaborate with a wide variety of units throughout the department. The officers we work with often say, if parents only knew. On the flip side of that, members of the community are curious about what law enforcement is seeing out in the community. This has led to the creation of drug bulletins, which are shared in our newsletter, on social media, and our website. These bulletins feature pictures of items being seized during arrests. For example, the contents of a youth backpack, which included 236 vape cartridges with a THC concentration of 80% or higher. In addition, a stolen gun and thousands of dollars in cash. These bulletins quickly help parents realize that while we live in a safe community and their children do go to a good school, ongoing prevention conversations need to be had to help them build important skills, which will in turn help them safely navigate the drug choices they may have to make. I didn't anticipate shaking hands when I thought about turning the page. Buys me a little extra time. Helping provide prevention education to the largest school district in the state, West Ada, serving roughly 40,000 students, requires an all-hands-on-deck approach. Here's another recent example of how prevention works. Last year, through our partners at Central District Health, along with the Meridian Police Department, School Resource Officer Team, and the West Ada School District Counselors, we got certified to teach the evidence-based prevention program, Catch My Breath. Since implementing the program, violation data for West Ada School District shows a decrease in tobacco, alcohol, and drug violations of more than 25%. Chief Basterrechea mentioned marijuana in the documentary Smoke Screens, highlighting how Idaho is and should stay different from other states. From educating city leaders and constituents through our partnership with Community Coalitions of Idaho, to testifying in front of City Council and legislative committees, MADC members have joined forces with other prevention advocates to protect not only Meridian's quality of life, but Idaho's as well. Over the last few years, we have fielded questions from concerned citizens all around the state, asking how it was possible for marijuana dispensaries in Oregon and Washington to advertise in Idaho. A concerned father stated in his letter to the mayor's office, "Advertising for illegal substances? What do you think that tells my kids and the future generations of this city and state?" A couple months later, during a city council meeting, MADC members patiently waited 3.5 hours to provide 3 minutes of testimony to address their concerns and the concerns of many others regarding marijuana dispensaries and advertising in Idaho. We are happy to say that code updates have passed to address this in August of 2023. When I began speaking today, I shared some of the things that contributed to my why. I now challenge each of you to reflect on why prevention is important to you, both personally and professionally. Maybe your why stems from watching someone struggle with addiction or knowing it runs in your family history. Maybe it's the people closest to you and being intentional about the choices that you make that impact your own mental health. Because mental health always plays a role in the disease of addiction. It is often the reason that drug use evolves to misuse and eventually abuse. Each of us has a responsibility to contribute to prevention, and it is through these individual contributions that we help ensure the future of our communities. As we look to the future of MADC and the next 20 years, we hope you'll continue to support prevention, helping us set new goals and working together to achieve them. While our strategic plan doesn't take us all the way to 2044, in the more immediate future, we've set our sights on increasing youth involvement in the coalition and adding another evidence-based prevention program. We also need all of you newcomers who have moved to Idaho for a better quality of life to remember what you left behind and the reasons that you came here, and to work with your elected officials to prevent this from happening here. The legislative session is in full swing, so now's the time. It's a lot of work to provide prevention education to nearly 30,000 community members each year, but we know with your support, we can grow that number even more. On each table, you will find a community collaboration card. We hope this card will be the start of new ideas as we venture into the future. Please fill out the card so we can hear your ideas and explore new opportunities together. Now that you've thought of your why, and we know prevention works, we are here to help with the how. How we can help keep prevention strong and enduring far into the future. If you have followed MADC over the years, are a member who receives the monthly newsletter, attends meetings, and helps at some of our events, thank you. If you are a community partner, like the ones who helped make today so special, or Select Health, Disaster Cleanup, or WeHop Drug Testing for sponsoring our most recent batch of parent prevention packets, thank you. And to the city and state leaders who keep prevention on their very long list of priorities, thank you. No contribution is too small, and while I can't mention all of them today, today's celebration is a tribute to each of you and your contributions. Thank you, and thank you for joining us to celebrate 20 years of the Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition. Before I pass the mic over to my partner, Haley Blogg, to share final remarks and raffle winners, I'd like to thank her for all her help. Haley serves as the Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition Coordinator and has been an invaluable addition to the prevention team.
That's going to be the lowest it is all day. So, thank you, Kendall. I want to also thank everyone for being here today. We are so grateful that you've chosen to celebrate the afternoon with us. We hope that the challenge coins and the t-shirts that were handed out today will remind you to make contributions to prevention, whether that be big or small. MADC is always welcoming new community members, new organizations to get involved in prevention, whether that be attending monthly meetings, subscribing to our newsletter, or making a monetary donation through our website. There are various ways to get involved. You'll notice on your table there are a few brochures. One is more information about the coalition, one is following the legislative session, and one is on the smoke-free documentary. So please check those out. In addition, our executive committee members are here. They are all wearing blue polos, so they're easily identified. and they'll be here till about 1:30 to help answer any questions you may have. I'd also like to thank sponsors for donating multiple items for our raffle basket and multiple items throughout the room here today. We could not make this happen without you all. Okay, moment you've all been waiting for. It's time for the raffle.